Well, let's get started here. Our goal this week is just to give you a really good underpinning for why have great records, at least um, uh, the bare minimum as far as what you need and things like that. Of course, that's the cornerstone of this whole class is teaching you good record keeping and some accounting concepts that go hand in hand with an agricultural operation. And before we get started, I'd say that um, we have a we have a way in agriculture of saying that we're way different than anybody else. But as I've gotten further and further into my business career, the thing that I've discovered is that we're not much different. If we're not profitable, then we're not going to be sustainable in an accounting sense. And um, many of us, and I've heard this many times, people saying, "Well, it's not the money that keeps me in this," and certainly it shouldn't be. But the the passion to go out there and farm and to ranch and things like that certainly play a huge role in the whole deal. But if you don't have a sustainably profitable business, whether it's a ranch, if it's a main street business, whether it's an internet site, then it won't survive. And that's just the bottom line of the whole thing. So it's got to be a very, very important ingredient as we push forward for any kind of a business enterprise. And these are great concepts for not only potential business owners and managers, but those that are going to be working in a for-profit business. If you don't understand that one concept and you're an employee, then you've missed the mark already. The one thing that you always have to have in mind is that there's no reason to hire any person unless they can add to the bottom line of that business. It may be over time, it may not be overnight, but that it has to be the part of the ingredient that works. So let's dive right in. I'll try to make these videos short and sweet and something that isn't too grueling for you. But um, anyway, it's an exciting part of your business if you're passionate about your business, and especially if you're passionate about profitability within your business. Okay, so let's move on about record keeping a record system. Um, my slideshow is not really. Uh, there we go. Accounting allows us to one is to keep score with and record our transactions so they're put down. Most of the cases, and the one that we're going to deal with later on in this class, is to computerize it, and that will give you the ingredients that we didn't have way back when in the caveman days, like when I started my business. But anyway, we'll have it recorded, we can manipulate it, we can take a look at it from different ways, we can see how profitable we were 10 years ago versus, and put it right alongside of today's profitability. We can do some ratio analysis, all kinds of things that are available to us once we have it recorded that would have been very, very difficult in the past to do without computers. So that's just a great tool that's come along in the last 30 years that has helped us in order to do these certain manipulations and things like that. Using the data that we accumulate through a record keeping system and recording those transactions is one of the most essential uses of an accounting system or a record keeping system. We're going to use those to base our decisions, okay? So we're actually looking at the future. Are we going to plant different crops? Are we going to change our genetic makeup of our beef herd? Are we going to change our flock of sheep because of what records that we have already looked at and we have recorded. So we're looking at the past in order to make decisions for our future. Okay, so and then the record keeping system is going to be a way that we will be able to see those adjustments or the decisions that were just talked about, and as we implement them. And number 4 is to evaluate, 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 evaluate. I can't say that enough. These decisions that you base from the recorded transactions or your past, if they're not evaluated, then we get into this trap that we just do the things we do because that's the way we've done them in the past from this day forward. And that's how people get, it is a trap. They get in this mindset that, this is how we feed, this is how we plant, this is how we farm, this is how we ranch, because this is the way it's always been. When their neighbor right next to them is willing to adjust and become more profitable, be more competitive in the market, and all those things that come with it because they've been evaluating their recorded transaction. Very, very important part of this whole thing. Okay, some major tools critical to the business survival are these financial records. Okay, financial records that we're talking about are your expenses and your receipts. Your capital purchases, that would be your asset purchases and things like that, and then the analysis of the business activities. And we're just taking a look at it. I look at my profit and loss twice a week with very much regularity, to make sure that I'm on track, to make sure that possibly I'm doing worse or I'm doing better than the year before or the last 3 years or the last 5 years or the last 10 years, so that I can make some business decisions on the fly. And many people think that great business people are great at making on the fly or seat of the pants type of decisions, but they've been analyzing, and analyzing, so when the decision becomes it has to be made, they just make it because they have as much information as they can accumulated up to that point. They just have to make that, and they make that decision. And following great decisions with another great decision after another great decision is a snowball effect of a very successful business model. And I just can't emphasize that enough. And I mean, even a failed business model is even a great thing to learn from. It isn't the one thing that you want to get involved in when you may get trapped, into doing things the way you've always done them. It's just a spiraling down, and at some point that business has to say, okay, I give up, put their hands up in the air and just say, okay, you either got to sell out because I still have a few assets here that are worth something, or they have to change what they're doing. And I'm sure that most of you that have been around enough have actually seen those kinds of things, and they're very painful to watch, and they're definitely more painful to go through. Maybe you've been on both sides of that. Most of us have. So anyway, here's the thing about it, that I want to emphasize, that as the farm or ranch manager that are putting together these records, and you are the manager. It doesn't matter if you've got one steer. If you have an FFA project or 4-H project and you are the manager of that steer and you're going to sell it at the fair, you have the same power as a business does. So don't discount yourself. Those are great applications. They're great learning processes along the way. you're going to have people at arm's length that can help you, and you're going to be communicating with. And a good record keeping system is going to make the communication much easier for you. Of course, the lenders that are possibly financing a portion of your business, your accountant who might be giving you advice on where you should allocate the parts of your business. There's some more examples here: a lawyer, a tax advisor, a management advisor, investment advisors as you get probably a little bit further along in your business. The ASCS, that's called the NRCS now, so it's changed a little bit according to this diagram, but those are the people. Great records, financial records especially, that we'll talk about mostly in this class, but we'll briefly talk about some of the others, are going to be really important in order to effectively communicate with these people and have them help you make great decisions that can be followed by more great decisions. Okay, the other part, of course, tax authorities. It's really, really difficult to, at the end of the year, if you have not been recording transactions, to get them back all together and give them over to the federal, state, or local tax authorities that need them in order to collect the tax that you owe. So a good record system is definitely going to take that into account so that you can breathe and sleep better at night. The other things that you may be dealing with is, but whether you're a farm or rancher, you might have a landlord situation. So farming or ranching, you might have somebody else that controls the land and you're leasing from them. You may have others involved. You may have other family members. You may have other people as far as partners, whether they're members or partners or however the legal type of setup is. You may have other stock holders in your company if you have a corporate type of a structure, and you are fiduciarily responsible for actually communicating with them, and without good records there's no way to do that. You may be on the other end of things where you have tenants that you are renting to, and you will have to have good records on that as well. You may have other family members, as we talked about before. They may be partners, they may not be. They may have some kind of an interest in the total operation. So good records will make effective communication. I'm going to cut the video off it now, and you do have access to this PowerPoint. I'll make a few more videos, but again, I don't want to make these too long so that they are difficult to listen to. So we'll stop it right there.